Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, remember him? He was the guy that just learned that you can transmit this without symptoms like a week ago. He's been following this pandemic very closely, and perhaps that's why he's announcing his new move. It's an exciting one. On Monday, he announced that gyms, hair salons, nail salons, barber shops, and bowling alleys will be allowed to reopen in the state on Friday, even as the number of coronavirus cases continues to rise. During an afternoon press conference, Kemp said that the statewide shelter-in-place order will expire on April 30th. However, he urged the medically fragile to continue to hunker down until May 13th. So let's be very clear about that. He wants bowling alleys to open up, not in a year, not in 6 months, not in 1 month, in a couple of days. And look, he has heard your concerns about the medically fragile, people with immunocompromised systems, those sorts of things. He wants them to shelter for 3 weeks. So he thinks as of May 13th, if you are at a high risk of catching and dying from coronavirus, in 3 weeks, you should just go to the bowling alley and play a few games. Do we want to make a prediction of how many people will die in America on May 13th from coronavirus? How many will die in Georgia? I know one thing, the number's about to go up because of this move.
And I'm getting a couple of signs of positive signs because, there's some other mayors across that state, specifically Atlanta, and I think there's another smaller town, but they've openly said this is a disaster. This isn't a good idea. So hopefully they'll have enough of an influence on citizens there that they'll continue and defy this particular order or this allowance to get out and start sticking your fingers in bowling balls that other people have stuck their fingers in, and sticking your feet in shoes that other people have stuck their feet in, and then putting your hands on the push button screens at the bowling alleys, the other ones that push constantly over and over again, and then going and getting your fries and burger from the food stand and shoving that in your face right before you stick your fingers back into the bowling ball. I'm just saying, no, this is just the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
my God,
that's devastating. A bowling alley.
I'll probably never bowl again if there's a vaccine and the coronavirus is suddenly like the flu. I may never bowl again. Period. Anyway,
a bowling alley, as you point out, is just touching things together. That's all it is. Now, granted, it is a place known for its rigorous commitment to cleanliness and sanitizing things.
They do have an awesome spray for those shoes, though.
Yeah, you're gonna get coronavirus so that you can bowl? Honestly, I would get it for any other reason before for that reason. But no, it's not just that. It's nail salons, hair salons, gyms. Let's go a little bit further because it might even get a little bit worse. So as of Monday, Georgia had recorded over 18,301 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and at least 637 deaths. The governor, who cited the pandemic's heavy toll on the state's economy, said that some restaurants and movie theaters can reopen on Monday as long as they adhere to social distancing guidelines. He also gave the green light to churches to hold in-person services. So, restaurants and movie theaters, which are literally just a room packed with people as tight as possible. Outside of a rave or an orgy, you can't get people tighter together than in a movie. As long as they adhere to social distancing guidelines, what does that mean? Does that mean one person and there has to be 6 seats in every direction? What, are you going to fit 8 people in the room? And honestly, I'm going to ask a question, and I am horrified of the answer. Who's going to go to the movie theater in the time of a pandemic? And honestly, I think maybe some people will, and that terrifies
you can have
me.
A decent number. I mean, okay, so this is a race from governors of idiot governors, a race to the bottom of their stupid policies. So Brian Kemp saw that the beaches opened up in certain parts of Florida, specifically around Jacksonville, and some of those, to their credit, some of those areas are like, whoa, hold up, let's chill that out. So they have a limited reopening, and people who've been in quarantine for a month are like, I want to get the hell out of the house. So guess what they did? They got the hell out of the house. And as long as they practice social distancing guidelines, because everybody does that. So Brian Kemp saw this and said, "Hey, I can be dumber. I'm gonna open up all these other things and make sure everyone knows that I'm dumber than Governor DeSantis down in Florida. This is a race for the stupid governor." And then this is their insurance policy. As long as you guys be responsible and safe and follow those guidelines. Okay, sure, yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah. We're being ruled by the dumbest, cruelest, most selfish people in the country. I mean, I guess that's always been true, but it seems more urgent right now at a time when they get to decide potentially, unless mayors override them, unless they then get overridden by the state Supreme Court. Like Atlanta, the mayor wants to do the right thing, but will it be able to? I don't know. I honestly don't know at this point. Now, bear in mind that Brian Kemp is perhaps the worst case of this and has been, but it's not just Brian Kemp. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster announced that retail stores, including department stores and flea markets, will be allowed to reopen on Monday at 5 p.m. with social distancing requirements. Yes, that's Monday. That's in less than a week. Flea markets, which is basically as close as you can get in America to the literal place where coronavirus was initially transmitted to a human. So that's some nice synergy there. Right. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee said that most businesses will be allowed to reopen on Monday, saying that, quote, as we open up our economy, it will be more important than ever that we keep social distancing as lives and livelihoods depend on it. Yeah, social distancing, but like, I still got to go to a flea market. I still got to go to the movie theater, so maybe not so much. And so multiple states. And so we're going to find out, is this going to lead to a spike in cases? Because what we said from the very beginning, and I apologize for going on so long, is if this is successful, the efforts to stop the spread, if they're successful, then they will be attacked as having been unnecessary because the people won't have died. And so opportunists, craven, cruel people will say we shouldn't have done it in the first place. And now, because the numbers aren't rising at an apocalyptic rate, they're saying that's a reason to open it up. When opening it up is not opening it up is the reason that the numbers haven't already gone to that point. So now we're going to have a natural experiment. Some states are going to continue to be locked down. Others are going to surrender to the virus. And we're going to see how many people are going to be sacrificed due to this grand experiment.
But you know, it's kind of sad. It's going to, I think, hopefully not, hope I'm wrong about this, but it's going to cause businesses and people to start following that lead. Okay, so say he's opened up bowling alleys, movie theaters, hair and nail salons. And then some of these people are still not defiant, but some of these people are still being cautious and like, yeah, I'm allowed to open my business, but I'm not going to because this is too dangerous still. Now, they're going to suffer while the ones that do open are going to make a little bit of money. And then it's going to start becoming more and more pressure on these other ones that haven't opened to be like, well, damn, people are making some money and I'm still sitting here trying to do the responsible thing. And we know the responsible thing is hurtful to your bottom line. So it's going to cause some people to start stepping out and doing it more as far as the business side. And then people, if your neighbor that you've been staying in home and not talking to for this long goes out and gets her hair done and goes out and does that and goes out and does this, you can be like, man, maybe I should too. And it'll slowly leak into this because we're pack following type people. If you ever see a traffic jam, you notice how people don't know how to not sit in the same line together.
Yep. We
just jump behind and start doing the same thing and it'll build. And then they'll see it after 1 week. Hey, my neighbor hasn't died yet. No, it's been a week.
Yeah.
And
by the way, so as we've been saying, when the economy reopens, not everything reopens, not everybody goes back into it. And almost every one of the people who have been a face of this movement saying it should reopen are saying you all should reopen. And all the right-wing YouTubers are still going to be broadcasting from their basement. They're not going to be going anywhere. Sean Hannity is not going to be hanging out in a crowd at a concert in Central Park or whatever. But the people at the lowest tier of the totem pole, those who are most vulnerable, hypothetically will be put in a very difficult position because many business owners will care enough about their employees that even though they'll be allowed to reopen, they won't because they don't want their employees to die. But some, especially chains, will reopen. And then workers will no longer be able to just stay at home on unemployment. They will be forced to decide to be fired or go back to work. And that is not lost on some of them. So I just want to read one quote from a worker. Salon owner Booth, who has never been closed this long since opening 23 years ago, said she had no desire to touch anyone until at least the middle of May. She laughed at the guidance from the governor to maintain social distance as she cut or washed someone's hair. Quote, "It's not social distancing if you're touching someone. We touch people for a living. I would never pick money over putting someone's life in danger." But unfortunately, some people would. And they are the political leaders of our country. And someone in the chat mentioned, if one barber has coronavirus, how many people do they touch before they know? Is it 100? 500? I don't know. but maybe we'll find out.
Well, it's a shame, but we'd have to, if this all starts happening the way it's going to, it's about a month span before you really start seeing anything that's happening, if that would happen. So they're opening up before May. We have to look into around June before we see if any of these numbers would spike. If people jump out the way that they expect them to. That's hoping that people don't.
So here's what's terrifying me really fast, and then we'll move on to our last topic. So in like 3 days, flame on, open up for regular people. The medically fragile will stay at home, according to Governor Kemp. So regular people are going to flood out there and start hanging out in the Gap or whatever. A couple weeks go by of them spreading coronavirus to each other. Many of them not symptomatic. They won't be able to know. And I'm going to guess that the state that opens up first is probably not the most rigorous in terms of making testing available for everyone. So 3 weeks go by of just open spread of the virus. Then on May 13th, medically fragile people are advised to resume their lives by the governor, and they will enter into a state that has had multiple weeks to generate the maximum number of coronavirus cases. That's the plan. I am not a doctor, not a scientist. I studied political science in grad school. Arguably an idiot. And I can see through that plan and see how stupid that is and see how many people that is likely to kill.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.